How are we doing, guys? And welcome back to All Leeds TV. It's your big match preview of Manchester United versus Leeds United. It is the big one. I don't feel particularly infused by it because we are going into this game managerless, but for how much longer? We shall see. Listen, I'm looking at the comments. Lads, I'm looking at the comments. Yeah, we're getting asked about who the potential, use the word potential for the time being, with a bit of a wink maybe as well. New manager who is on the horizon. But first and foremost, Chris, how are you, mate?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, thanks for having us on. Yeah, exciting times. I think. Lots to go through today, I'm sure.
Hopefully. And Dad, lad to Leeds, how are you, mate?
Do you know, exactly like Chris, really excited, and I suppose we might as well get stuck into it, right? The last literally 5 minutes has heated up as we're getting closer to a name, aren't we? All signs are pointing to one guy.
I think we've got a name. We've got a name.
You're confident, yeah?
I'm confident. I'm confident that it's Steve Evans who will be the next Leeds United manager. Well, no. Just for reference, that it is, I believe, Arne Slot who's going to be a new manager. Again, I will be honest, guys. I will level with you. And I'm not saying whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. I had genuinely never heard of Arne Slot before half an hour ago. I don't know if it's Arne Slot. I don't know. But yeah, I'm excited. Just by looking at his CV. Again, I don't know style of football yet. Probably need to watch a little bit more final footage.
Chris has researched this. We were just chatting before we went live.
Chris, I will let you take the floor then, mate. What can we expect from Arne Slot?
I've got no great big insights here, but all I could see was that he likes to possession football. He likes to play with width. So if that's a build from what we had from Marsh. So I think that's positive.
That is music to my ears, and I think it's probably music to the just under 100 people listening to this. It sounds familiar, that doesn't it, Dad? Width and possession. That sounds familiar from somewhere. It sounds like we've seen this before, up to about 12 months ago.
Yeah, it's almost like it's the progression we were hoping for 12 months ago. You know, like take us from there. I found it not to get stuck into the previous lot, but the press conference today I thought was fascinating because we had the team that weirdly have not walked with the manager, and I think that's a massive sign that it was time for Jesse to go. But this lot who were brought in by Jesse and meant to be his comrades are standing in for him on this Wednesday. And the measure of, do you know what? I think we look good without the ball than we do with the ball, just sums up how deluded this lot have been for a very long time. I think Leeds United are probably the easiest team in the Premier League to figure out how to score against. So if there was one thing I want this slot to do is, yes, I'd love to see us get on the front foot with Bielsa ball again, or the evolvement of Bielsa ball, which will be interesting. Which this guy sounds like, with Chris's extensive research, he's going to take us back to those days. But at the same time, I want a guy who can tell our lot how to defend a crossing from the wing. I just want to see us be able to deal with that service that comes in every opposition that scores against us. It comes from wide. Please, let's sort that out. I want that guy. I want to know if that guy can do that.
Yeah, well, let's see. We'll see it. But we have got a super chat from Alex. Plot twist: Chris Armas trounces Man United back to back and gets carried off the pitch before the new manager comes in. I believe it isn't Chris Armas who will be in sole charge tomorrow. It's going to be Michael Scubala who's going to be in charge tomorrow, which is. I've not seen loads of our 23s as much as I probably would normally do. But again, I'm probably more happy with Scubala than Chris Armas, to be honest. Because I think that Chris Armas story of what his time at Man United, that doesn't really sit particularly well with me. But let's see. But I'll be honest, we do need to remember this is a big match preview of tomorrow's game. This will be the last of probably Marsh Ball, or the last kind of bits of Marsh Ball we're probably going to see. And Dad, I can see, is already kind of almost drinking in celebration. I can kind of see down there.
No, I am brew. Guys.
I am brew. Definitely, I brew that.
Yeah, it's only
but yeah, listen, And we talk a little bit about tomorrow's game. I am not looking forward to this at all. Listen, I'm excited about the future, but the immediate future, back-to-back games against Man United, it could not have come at a worse time. That delay to the game in September has massively hurt us, because I did feel at that time, when we were originally scheduled to play mid-September, we could have given Man United a really good game. At this moment in time, I am not expecting much. I'm looking at Rashford against our narrow back four, against Aiden or Christensen. Big problem for me. Fernandes in those pockets of space. There's a lot of players who could cause us problems. Anthony as well. Anthony might have his best game of the season against us. I am very nervous going into this one, because we've been embarrassed. The last 2 times we've gone there, 6-2, 5-1. I just don't want anything else like that again. If we can get something from the game, brilliant, but not another embarrassment. You've got to think about the confidence now as well, Chris, surely.
Yeah, I guess the worrying thing is we've played them before, and we've played them when they're in bad form, and they always turn up against us. All their players, whether it's Fred, McTominay, any of them, they all step up and have the game of their lives against us. They say they don't care about the fixture, but they clearly do. It's big for both sets of fans. The players probably know this as well. It's just a shame we're not playing them when they've got someone like Solskjaer at the wheel, because they seem to have turned the corner, and hopefully we're soon to follow them. But a bit worried. They could clearly open us up if we give them too much time and space. But I don't see us losing 2 games, so I'm not going to sit here and say we've got wins that we can predict. But I can't see us going out and getting 2 defeats. I just think the players will have to show some fight. They have to show some discipline, which I think they were lacking a bit in the second half against Forest. So, yeah, I'm hoping they improve in that area.
Well, according to Mike down here, Anthony and Anthony Martial, Scott McTominay, I know Casemiro's obviously out. Yeah. Apparently they're all out for them tomorrow, which is quite... The one thing Man United don't have a lot of is depth. Certainly in attacking areas. That's 2 big signings for him. I think that's like £150 million worth of talent. Well, just under £150 million worth of talent who might not be playing tomorrow. So that's quite an interesting one. Does that give a little bit more enthusiasm for you, Dad?
Yeah, totally. And I think for me, I totally agree with what Chris says about how the players will be focused. And actually, the one weird, strange thing about Marshball was the players seem to give it the role. And I think we'll probably get that in bucket loads tomorrow night. And on Sunday as well, but I think we'll have slot in place for Sunday. So it will be probably a different approach. I think on Sunday we're going to see a completely different setup to what we do tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be the legacy of Marshball. Look, all these guys that we've brought in under Marsh are clones of that American setup that is, everybody's exactly the same as each other. So I don't think we can expect much change tomorrow at all. I think it will be almost like Marsh is still there, which I don't know. Is it a bad thing? It could be worse. It could be a lot worse. But the fact that I think we've got a manager incoming so quick, we haven't left this. I actually do think the timing of this is pretty spot on. Considering we didn't get rid of him for what I believe we should have done straight after the Fulham game.
Imagine, Slot wins that first game against Man United. Say if he does get appointed tomorrow and wins the first game, like at home, you cannot. There is no way you can start more perfectly than that. Honestly, that is
it'd be unbelievable. And if he's right about that lineup, I mean, what we need to do tomorrow night, and which will be the toughest test. But remember, Old Trafford isn't a cauldron. It's not a cauldron at all. They cheer for the goals and that's about it, which there'll probably be quite a few in all fairness. However, we can score. We can score against the best. And, if we go in there with a bit of energy, I'm not saying Marsh would have conducted it, but, we'll give it a good go tomorrow night. That's my point. I don't think anyone's going to be rolling over. Knowing that we've got a manager incoming as well, that'll be in the stand. He's obviously... signing his contract tonight. Radrazani wouldn't have tweeted out earlier, it's happening either tonight or tomorrow morning. Within the next 24 hours, guys, this slot is going to be announced. So the players will be going, okay, tomorrow night's our night. If we want to get on that first 11, we've got to prove ourselves to be in the first 11 for Sunday. Yeah. So I think that timing-wise, for this moment where they've got themselves into, is a perfect storm and handled really well that they've done it now. Now you might say, why did they give him a transfer window? But I'm sure you guys might have mentioned on this before. But obviously, Premier League managers now, because of their lifespan is so short, having their contracts that have got to see out so many transfer windows. And I think, money talks. And I think if we'd got rid of Jesse before this transfer window, we would have had to have paid out a horrific amount of money to him. He obviously had a year in his contract where he needed at least 2 transfer windows. And then, we've engaged and acted probably quite rightly where to get him. It should have been Fulham, but I think financially it was the right thing probably to get rid of him now.
I don't even think it's so much that, in terms of just like in his contract, he had to have a certain amount of transfer windows. I do genuinely think after that Fulham game, if we hadn't have beaten Liverpool, I do genuinely think, not to have a go at Marsh, I think he probably would have been sacked then. I think it was the fact we beat Liverpool straight after Fulham, all the bad feeling of that Fulham game, to then go to the other end of the scale and beat. I know it was a bit smash and grab that win against Liverpool and mopped out in that. But I do think
maybe Bournemouth, Oscar. I think Bournemouth.
Bournemouth followed it up again. And obviously, I think Tottenham, we gave a really good go as well at Tottenham, 3 goals at White Hart Lane, all this lot. But I think ultimately, it always felt to me, Chris, like it was a matter of time, until Marsh was going to get sacked. It always felt like it was 1 or 2 bad results combined away from the sack. It just always felt like it was going to happen. Say the Brentford game, 2 weeks ago, if Brentford had got a last-minute winner in that game, I think it probably would have happened then, to be totally honest with you. It just felt like it was always coming.
I think that's the thing, and he'd lost at least half the fan base, probably even more, and there's probably no recovering from that. I guess even when he came in, he had a tough act to follow, and maybe he was never going to be accepted because of that. I guess whoever was going to be the next manager was going to have a tough challenge. He came in, I suppose he did it. He met his first objective. It's not all bad. I guess we've got some good memories from what he's done. We've had some good results.
Chelsea?
Well, last season.
Come on. Brentford isn't a great memory.
It is. I was there, mate. Not the 5-2, by the way. Stayed up last day of the season.
But Jesus Christ, if that's the best feeling we're going to get, is staying up on last game of the season.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not. But it was still a good memory. It's a lot I can remember of it. I mean, I was drinking for about 15 hours that day. I mean, I can barely remember. I didn't even realise Brentford had gone down to 9 men until the next morning, to be honest with you. I was wasted. It just like, we've scored. But
that's amazing.
To be fair, it was Jesse Marsh is one of only 3 managers who's brought me to tears, to be fair. Simon Grayson, Bristol Rovers promotion. Bielsa, promotion 2020, and then staying up on the last day of the season. There's 3 times these managers have brought me to tears of joy.
You're over emotional.
Maybe. But to be fair, I thought, shit, I don't want to go back to Luton away for straight away after 16 years out. But anyway, let's move on. Is my mic still bad?
No, you sound great.
No, it's all good.
Okay. I'm a bit worried if my mic's gone again on me, but this is a different mic. I am trying, guys. I am trying to get the perfect setup. It is very frustrating, but I hope you do prefer this setup to what it was before, anyway. But yeah, I mean, get us your thoughts in here, guys. What are your thoughts on Slot? Or am I pronounced it right? Just for first and foremost, is it Arne Slot, Arne Slot? Again, let me know on that as well. I'm excited because when something comes out of the blue, it's just like you think, ooh, we wasn't expecting this. Wasn't expecting this at all. And yes, I am the new Chris Kamara. Unbelievable, Leeds. But yeah, I mean, I still can't get excited about this game tomorrow, though. I still want that out of the way. It just, hopefully not too much damage on the goal difference. But yeah, I mean, it's
Man United. It's Man United. Yeah, it's Man United, man. I am excited, because
the opportunity to beat Man United away from home is absolutely unreal. But also the more realistic thing is another 5-1, 6-2. It's just it's come at a really bad time, this game. That's all I'm going to say. It could not have come at a worse time, this game. But the one on Sunday, that's see a little bit more potential in that one. But would I take a draw tomorrow?
Because we've got a manager, is that what you're
Yeah,
thinking?
because I think the new manager bounce, the fact Ellen Road's going to be a bit more up for it, the fact we have got this new manager in, and what an opportunity it is to make the perfect start as a Leeds United manager. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd take a draw tomorrow. No questions asked. I think it'd be a great result for us. Yeah. Apologies about the mic, guys. I do hope it's not cutting in and out too much. Getting a few more comments on that.
It's not cutting out, mate. It's just that I think it sounds a bit loud, but and it obviously distorts a tiny bit. But we can all hear you.
I can edit the volume a little bit, but just before I do that, I mean, Chris, would you be looking to make any changes tomorrow? Would you be looking to maybe change formation or bring in players that have kind of not being used so much under Jesse Marsh? You know, the likes of the likes of maybe McKennie making his debut potentially. You know,
Chris hates Bamford. Chris hates Bamford.
I've heard this rumor. I have heard this rumor.
He had a shocker the other day. I wouldn't make too many changes.
Terrible.
I think first half last game, everything was pretty good. We were on the front foot, making loads of chances. Sinisterra, the best chances fell to him. There was one he pretty much had an open goal. Some that went through to Bamford, and his touch took it about 20 yards in front of him. I think Pascal maybe would be the only person I'd want to take out. He's not a bad player, but he's just had a tough couple of weeks. I think Voba's been amazing since he's come in. He's played centre-back most games, but just wonder if he can actually play left-back where he was supposed to have been signed for. So I'd quite like to see him there. I think attacking-wise, I was quite happy. I think McKennie would like to maybe see him start. He came on, didn't do a great deal, but the whole team wasn't really performing second half. So maybe see him in the midfield three at the start. Obviously, Nonso, he's going to be the one that's potentially going to cause the threat when we do get our attacks. It's just the right side. I'm sort of toying whether Rito would be a good one just to throw out there and a bit of unpredictability, or whether it should be Harrison for the work rate. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I don't think too many changes from the team that started against Forest, because on the whole it works okay.
I do think if we're going to cause problems going forward against us tomorrow, I agree with Dad. You know, I think there is opportunities for us to cause problems. And in that way, I'm thinking, you know, Nonto, Mistera, Harrison, as I mentioned before, Rutter potentially starting. There's opportunities, you know. I fancy Nonto 1v1 against Wan-Bissaka or Dalot, whoever it is at right back. I do fancy to win that battle. You know, I think to be fair, he absolutely cooked, you know, Forest in that first half. And when Aurier came on, he did a better job on him, but he was doing a really, really good job on that side, Nonto, and he has done all season, being totally honest. So that does excite me, seeing that. I do think we need to change something at left back. I think for Pascal's confidence more than anything. I think for me, there's no question about Pascal's quality and his ability. He's got tons of ability. You know, I think he's got potential to be our best defender long term. And some would say he still is our best defender. I personally say Verben myself, but I think he needs to rest out the team. I think like Brendan Aronson, he needs that rest out the team just to, you know, confidence-wise, take him out the firing line. You know, I would play Verber at left back and Cooper at left centre back and Koch at the right side of it. I would try something a little bit different. You know, I still think Pascal is the best left back option we've got at this moment in time. I'm not saying he's a natural left back, but I still think he's the best option we've got. But on current form, there is definitely a confidence knock. We saw it kind of last season as well, Pascal, where he had a couple of bad games and it becomes 5 or 6 bad games, and then the confidence goes. And he's still young. We have to remember this. Pascal's plays, I think, 100 games for us now, or maybe just under 100 games for us. But he's still young. He's still quite an inexperienced player. So I think we do need to give him a bit of credit there. But yeah, I would try something different at left back. I think in midfield, there is a temptation to bring in Weston McKennie. Just like a little bit more power, I guess, in midfield. But I'd probably leave it. I'd probably still go Adams Rocker and just stick with that front four that kind of stick with that front four that started Forest, but swap Bamford for Rutter. I would try something a little bit different in that respect. But really, there is an element of like freedom almost going into this game, because there's not much expectation, really. There's a chance for certain players to show to the new manager, you know, listen, Sinisterra has made a career for himself from playing, you know, under Slot at Feyenoord. You have to remember this. You know, under Slot, he was the best winger in the Eredivisie. He was better than Gakpo. He was better than Anthony. Yes, there might be people who disagree with that, but if you look at how he's adapted to the Premier League, it shows you he was actually the best player of the lot. Really, in reality. That's bound to come back to bite me now in terms of Anthony scoring tomorrow.
No.
Anyway, we'll see. He's going to do that really annoying thing he does. He does that. What's he called? That spin thing. Starts trying to do that. Oh, dear me. But yeah, I'm trying. I am fearful of what could happen in this game. I'm not going to mess with you. I am fearful for our goal difference a little bit at this moment in time. But we'll see. Dad, would you look to make any changes in this game?
Yeah, I absolutely would. And I'm going to kind of use contradictory on two positions. I absolutely agree with you two on that back four. Just needs a little tweak because I think this left back position under Marsh has absolutely frazzled Strike's brain. He just looks like he's been struggling. And I thought it was really evident from the Cardiff away leg in the FA Cup where you could just see the lad's head's frazzled. Let's take him out of the firing line because I think he's a super talent who will come back as an amazing centre-back for us. So I would absolutely have Koch and Cooper in the centre and Verber on the left, Ayling on the right. Where tomorrow could be won is the centre of midfield. With everything that's going on with Man United, if we win that midfield, and this is a contradictory thing because, again, I've been very much an advocate of give Brendan a break, but I love the idea of having Brendan, Tyler, and McKennie in that centre, full energised, swarming that midfield, being all over them, and then allowing the freedom of Nonto, Sinistera, and even Bamford dropping short, I think will absolutely puddle Man United's brain. And I think if we go in with that intensity, that swarm, that we saw all the pictures that they had saying what Jesse wanted them to do. I think that energy, and McKennie will probably have to come off. Brendan will have to come off, but then hopefully we'll be a little bit, who knows, either holding it or certainly into the second half. We could bring Brendan and McKennie off and bring on Rocker to calm it down in midfield and bring on Harrison to be a bit of an attacking threat. I would love to see Brendan, Tyler and McKennie ready for it and on that midfield, winning it, high intensity from the start, all over them. And I think that's a winning formula. But that's not necessarily a winning formula because Man United are one hell of a team right now. Ten Hag is bloody brilliant. Although I thought his comments today were nuts when you consider how he got his job as Man United manager and he's saying never sack a manager. Well, he's totally benefited from the process of how Premier League clubs operate. I thought that was crazy.
I mean, it's the Pep thing, isn't it? Where Pep always says, you can tell when Pep doesn't rate a team because he always says they're fantastic and they're a top team in that lot. You can always tell when he doesn't rate a team, Pep Guardiola. Yeah. It's mind games for me, that a little bit off Ten Hag.
I agree. So that's what. But it was so blatant, right? It was just like, so what? What are you on about, you idiot? By the way, Pep goes in the summer, telling you now, exclusive. He's not happy. He goes in the summer. But I think that three in the midfield, and I'm seeing it more as a 4-2-3-1 tomorrow. I think that's what will go. And I think Aronson will be the support for Bamford and the person who drops back into midfield for the swarm. And maybe swaps with McKennie because that guy just looks like he just wants to cover every inch of the grass. But looks terribly unfit for the Premier League. So I don't see him doing more than 60 minutes tomorrow. And then bring in Rocker. And then bring in Harrison. And hopefully Cini and Nonto can do the damage. I think Nonto will have a field day tomorrow. Even if we lose, I think he'll just add to his collateral tomorrow. I can't see Man United handling him at all.
Well, we kind of saw it when I know we lost heavily when we played Man United under Bielsa, but we saw it with Raf when he played against Man United. He still played. He individually played really well in those games. To be fair, won at Old
really
Trafford,
well.
he won at Ellen Road. He kind of got us back into it. We have seen we can get at Man United defensively, definitely. Okay, they are a different team under Ten Hag, but it's still very similar personnel. I like Lisandro Martinez. I don't like because he plays for Man United, but as a defender, he's someone I rate very highly. I do like his aggression. He does improve him. I have to admit it. He does improve him. There's no doubt about it. He's an annoying little bastard, though.
I think Bamford will mess with his head, though.
It's hard to get under his skin, Martinez.
Well, no, when I mean it, I don't mean from a Bant point of view. I just think, by the way, I don't think he's come up against many defenders like Bamford will do in how he comes deep and all. I don't think he's.
He's one of those players for me.
Martinez is great when he's being attacked.
I think you'd love him in your team, but when he's playing against you, he's the most. And then Bruno Fernandes is the same, isn't he? Really, they've got
Tyler will smash him. Tyler on him tomorrow.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting battle.
Absolutely straight on.
But yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? But Chris, I mean, one thing I think we do need to point out is that it looks very clear early doors that Slot's style is very, very different to Jesse Marsh's style. Very, very clear that. So how would the likes of Tyler Adams for you, Weston McKennie, Brendan Aronson, Christensen, players like that, do you think it's going to be difficult for them to adapt to this new system? Do you think this is the opportunity for them now, almost in this game, to kind of show to Slot that, we're not just Red Bull footballers, if that's a thing. I don't know, it might be a thing, but you kind of know what I'm saying. We're not just players who can only play in the Red Bull system. We can also play within your style of football as well.
I think so. I mean, a lot of the signings. I mean, people could say that all of these signings were for Marsh because there's so many Red Bull signings, so many Americans. But I think a lot of them should be able to transfer into other teams. They're all good players. The squad's in a much better place. Our strength is clearly out wide. So the fact that we're going to be utilising that now, we should hopefully see even more from Nonso. We should see more from Sinisterra, and obviously now he's back and fit. Christensen, I still don't know how he's going to bed in. I think at the start of the season I was a big fan, but now he's clearly behind Ayling, and I think it's going to stay that way. Ayling's done nothing wrong since he's come in, and I think in the middle again, it's nice to go into a game against Man United and actually have some midfielders because. I haven't got the lines in front of me, but I dread to think about the centre midfields that we've had when we've played him in the past. I'm sure we've had gaping holes in there, and I know we've certainly had players run straight through the middle in these games and just have a field day. So I'm hoping it is good timing. It's a chance for them to kind of really try and get themselves into the first 11 for the new manager. And I don't think the players stopped playing for the manager, but there was clearly some that weren't happy. I know Bamford's in his interview was coming out with some comments to sort of suggest that he wasn't quite buying.
Tactical, wasn't it? It was not happy with the tactics. I think they like the guy maybe, but
it's not a bad dressing room, though, is it? I think it's not. No. There's questions about the dressing room after Bielsa was sacked, but it's not. The players seem together. When you see them celebrate, you see General. Totally. I know you can't pick everything out from a training ground. Clips and that lot, but it doesn't strike me as a dressing room that's difficult to work with in that sense. I think if there's going to be any problems with this adaptation to Slot's style of play, it's going to be more technical. It's not going to be because of attitude. It's not going to be because the players don't want to play under Slot or don't want to play this new system of play. I hope it's going to be anything to do with that. I think it will be technical. Are they good enough to step into this new, more expansive, more possession-based, wider brand of football? And
we totally are.
I think they suit it better. I think the likes of Mark Rocker, I've said it before, I think he becomes a far better player in this new system where he's got width, where he's got options to play. We know he's got a pass in him. We know he's got that Calvin-like diagonal in his locker. We know he's got that. With a bit more width, a bit more space, a bit more time on the ball. It's a bit less frantic, a bit less rushed and crazy.
What is it? Is he going to get that in the Premier League? I've got to disagree.
I think Mark Rocker will be I think he'll be a far better. But I think he will. Not maybe to the same extent of what Phillips did on the Bielsa, but I could see something like that in terms of a big step up in Mark Rocker's influence on games. I genuinely do think we've got a quality player in there.
That's hopeful. I mean, I hope you're right, but I think it's too hopeful. I don't think he's showing anything. at all.
I don't think the system suits him at all.
Yeah,
I
think that's fair
he's
point.
He's not. When you look at Mark Rocker, you don't think high pressing midfielder is going to get box to box and be absolutely all over the pitch. He's not.
I don't think the system suits a lot of our players. I think, but you've seen a lot of players step up and give it the best. I mean, I would even, shout at Jack Harrison as the system doesn't suit that lad at all. If anything, he's probably been more affected, but you can see he still gives it. He creates opportunity. He's done his bit. But Rocker just looks like every game I see him, I go, he's subbed it on the 60th minute. He starts.
I always think we look worse when he goes off the pitch. I thought on Sunday it was alarming, the drop off when he came off.
But I don't think that's just Rocker. I think that's for system. And I think
I understand that.
It's like literally this whole we do well, we build up our stats for the first half. Jesus, man, I can't believe we're reflecting on the days of March when we should be looking forward. But
let's look forward. I think Mark Rocker will be a much better player in this system.
I think that's more hopeful than looking at how excited I am about the other players like McKennie, how he's going to come in and he's going to kick ass for us. I think, that lad gets Premier League fit, he's dangerous. And I think get Aronson back to what he was at the start of the season, and hopefully this rest has helped it, he's going to be dangerous under a slot system. It's going to be brilliant. That would be great. But can the guy defend? That's what I want to see. What's the defensive record?
I don't care about that. It's just vibes.
No, we do.
I just want vibes. I want 4 threes and just
do you know what? Let's just stop that cross coming in, or if it comes in, let's fucking deal with it, right?
Clean sheets are boring, though, man. They are boring.
We win leagues with clean sheets. I
do agree.
We win leagues with clean sheets.
I do agree. Listen, we do need to tighten things up, and I think if we keep the ball more, we're gonna put less pressure on the defence. And games are less. I know it sounds very basic, but when games are less 50-50 basketball type games, and we keep the ball a bit better, I think we will be a better team as a result. We'll be able to push up the pitch more, relieve the defensive pressure.
Absolutely.
I think it suits us. I think we've seen it under Bielsa. It can work pretty well. But Chris, are you with me? I think Mark Rocker's he's the first player I look at, as well as Sinistera, who I think, yes, we're going to see a more complete version of them.
I know what Chris is going to say. This is brilliant. Come on, Chris.
Go on.
No, I think Rocker has got the potential to improve. I don't think he's shone so far, but you're right. It probably is the system. I think the three of them in the middle will kind of supplement each other. I think we'll see more of them all playing together rather than just 2 out of the 3. I think that.
What 3, Chris? What 3?
I don't think Rocker's one. So I'm putting Rocker, Adams, and McKennie. I think that's the 3 that he'll go with.
Okay.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind Aronson there as well. I hope he just gets his confidence back and we see a bit more from him. And I agree with what you were saying, Oscar. It was a bit frantic, and I think it's the West Ham game especially when Melia had the ball at the goal kick. No one wanted the ball. None of the defenders were offering, and it was going to them, and then it was straight back to West Ham, and we were on the back foot again. And if we can take away some of the panic, we might have someone like Rocker who can find that pass, and with some of the attackers, I suppose hopefully having more license to roam is I suppose the ideal.
That feels like the theory to me, but yeah, nothing. I don't think anything's been confirmed as of yet on Slot, but obviously keep it locked.
No, it hasn't. Not officially yet. I've got it here. Nothing official.
I've seen a couple of mentions, but I don't think anything from the official account has been mentioned yet. Maybe from highly respected journalists. Listen, we are pretty sure it's going to happen. We are pretty
8 to 11 on. 8 to 11 on Bet365, mate.
Sounds good enough to me.
8 to 11 on.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is there anything else we can kind of discuss going into this game?
I mean, I think
sure the topic's about looking back.
Well, I mean, without certainly looking back, I think the one thing is what we've skimmed across with Slot is potentially exciting. Are we not gutted about who we are not getting? I think that's got to be seriously looked at, because if it is Slot, none of us know anything about him. We're in a relegation battle. The guy hasn't got any Premier League experience. You can go the other way. You can look at, we're in real trouble. Sean Dyche is definitely going to keep Everton up. That is going to happen. And you could see that. I mean, if you could just see the black and white difference in Everton, where Dyche turns up, bans snoods. He sends the lad down to Sports Direct to get them all training socks. And next thing you know, they're beating Arsenal 1-0 at home. And that team was an absolute shower. No, you're right, but they were an absolute shower before that. And Sean Dyche is probably would have been so different to what we're used to, but probably perfect for Leeds United as a human being and a coach. I think we would have loved him at our place eventually, once we got used to the style of football. But look, there's no point in looking at what we can't have. When you look what was out there, are we not going to feel a bit shortchanged? Is this Slot guy? My only worry about Slot is he just another manager we're bringing in who's great at building our stats other than our games won? Because that seems to me what Victor is obsessed with. People who can come in, get our stats up, except for the most important stat, which is wins.
Listen, I liked the other candidates. I really liked the Corberán idea. I was personally, some people were more doubtful on that, but I was definitely on the scale of yes, I would be happy to get this done now. He signed the contract to 2027. It's one of those things. Iraola, again, I watched a lot of Spanish football. I was very keen on. I can't say whether Slot is better, not as good, same as those managers, because I've not seen the final.
Feels a bit short, right?
I look at his CV. I would say he's of higher caliber than the other two at the minute. The fact he's top of the Eredivisie, the fact he's made the Conference League final, the fact he's Eredivisie Manager of the Year ahead of Ten Hag. I'd say that is pretty, big notable points. I'm not going to say is he better, is he not as good, but I'm also not going to pretend that I heard of him half an hour ago. So I can't really comment. I can't be disappointed on someone I don't know much about at this stage.
No, exactly. I don't want to slag him before he's even walked through the door. But the point is, of everyone who was out there, who was available, in the trouble we're in, guys. Because even if they're not available, let's go get them. Because, and you've got to remember, guys, our mission statement now is we need to be safe before the end of the last month. The Bournemouth game is when we need to be safe. We've got 4 games after that are horrific. That for a team trying to stay up are going to be so challenging. It's unbelievable. I don't think any other team's probably got a worse run-in than us out of that bottom 3. Now, that means we need to be safe with 4 games to go. So our season, despite it being this false halfway through...
Not really. We won't be safe with 4 games to go.
We've got... Well, look...
But I have to take it... That needs to happen. An impact.
That needs to happen. So is this guy who's never even seen the Premier League as a player, he's never done it as a coach, he's never done it as a manager, I don't want to say because I'm actually quite excited. But
Roberto De Zerbi had never managed in the Premier League.
Exactly. But look at the stature of that club compared to us as far as what they had there already.
No, I understand that, but at the same time,
he's just picked up what Potter left.
Marcelo Bielsa had never managed in England before he took the job. I know Marcelo Bielsa's got far better stature.
But this is my point. That's my point. That's what I mean. What was out there, and we've done this very quickly. How do you know
who was available? That's the only thing I say. Iraola might not have been available.
Quite a few that are available. Pochettino's available.
We were never going to get Pochettino. Come on.
With that attitude, you're never going to get him.
We were never. Pochettino.
Does he want more money than it would cost to get Bielsa?
Resigns.
No, but
Tuchel again. We were never going to get Tuchel.
But we're
17th in the table.
But this is it. If you go into it with that, remember Bielsa. We'd never heard of him, but and he was the untouchable at the same time. But we got him. And it was the thing that's probably excited us most about our regime, our owner, and we've got the 49ers behind us now. And that's the biggest elite sporting company in the world, or challenges that. So we've actually got this moment. Yeah, I get Poch would want that job. Who wouldn't want Liverpool? Who doesn't want Champions League? Is he going to get it though, guys? That club, Leeds United is a club, and we've said this on all these TV before. Leeds United is a club that has the structure and the backing to get there, to get to those places Poch wants.
We're 17. I agree. I do agree with what you're saying. We're 17th in the table.
And we could get beyond that very quickly with the squad.
Yeah,
We've got a brilliant squad. Imagine Bielsa with that squad. So imagine Poch with that squad. It just feels like
we were never going to get Bielsa back. We were never going to get Poch.
But my point, but you say if you say it, it won't happen. And it was the same with Bielsa. We wouldn't have got him, but we went and did it.
I know they were available technically, but we were never going to get them in reality.
I think I agree with the ambitions, because we should be showing the ambition as a club. Like we've got to be selling the project to them. We've got potential sort of like stadium expansion plans that have been speaking about for the last couple of years. We can attract the players. We've got the fan base. We're sort of ready made for someone to come in and develop the club over the sort of next 5 years. I guess some of the drawbacks are some of these managers don't want to take that risk. I mean, would have loved to see Pochettino, but I guess he could come and fail. He could come and still take us down, and that.
But it wouldn't affect him. It wouldn't affect him. A man of that
it would.
6 months. 6 months. 6 months at Leeds United.
It would massively affect him.
But it's a safer bet.
Pochettino took Leeds. If we did go for Pochettino, we said, okay, we're going to throw whatever we can at getting Pochettino. If Leeds then went down, there's no way he's going to get offers like the Tottenham job, the Liverpool job. He wouldn't even be in the running. It's completely ruined his. For me, it's completely ruined his career.
Well, this is the problem, and also the challenge that Leeds United have. With this project right now, which is their own doing, by the way.
I think if it was like, I think it's the same with Bielsa. Really, we're in the middle of the season, so it's difficult to implement your ideas. You've not got the full pre-season. I think at the end of the season, yes, it'd be more achievable. I still don't think we'd get a Poch or Tuchel at this moment in time. I think you look at.
I never thought I'd get a Bielsa.
No, true. No, I agree with that. But I think Bielsa, it's not about the stature of the club that attracts Bielsa to jobs. Why did we take the Bilbao job? Why did we take the Marseille job? Why did we take the Chile job? There was a time in Bielsa's career when he could have any job in the world, but it doesn't motivate him. His motivation is coaching. He's not someone who gets obsessed with results. He just loves coaching. He loves the art of football.
Pochettino.
Sorry?
How different is Poch?
Poch, I mean, the fact Poch went to PSG, Bielsa would never have gone to PSG, for example. I think there is a difference in personality there. That's what I think. They don't strike me as Bielsa types who would have took on the challenge like that. You've got to remember as well, Pochettino's already managed Southampton at the lower end of the table. Tuchel has already managed Mainz in Germany, lower end of the table. They don't do that again now when they're in probably the peak of their careers or approaching the peak of their careers.
But the only thing that niggles me about that, and by the way, I can see lots of people going, "Don't bring Bielsa back."
I can't get disappointed.
I'm not asking for Bielsa being back. The point is, I think as fans, and I think also in the DNA of the club. And I'm a Yorkshire lad. I'm from Rothwell, so I know how we all think. I think sometimes our negativity gets in the way of progression. And one of the most beautiful things that we ever did as a club was when Radrazani turned to Victor Rock and said, "Who do you want to run it?" And whilst we had a manager in Heckingbottom, and we went out and got Marcelo Bielsa, and it may be fantasy. But I think sometimes if you don't approach, and I'm going to sound like bloody Jesse Marsh here, but if you don't approach it with the ambition and with the determination, like we did that moment we went and got Bielsa, then you're not going to perform like that.
No, I understand that.
It becomes higher risk. Who's
to say Pochettino or Tuchel suit Leeds more than what Slot does, or what Corberán does, or what Iriola does? It doesn't necessarily translate in that way.
Absolutely, but at the same time, what you need to look at is what they've done previously is absolutely a measure of, do you know what, we could do with a bit more than that than throwing a risk at a guy who doesn't have any experience in our league. And to the argument why you say Pochettino won't come is a reason why we should go for a Poch. And if it's not Poch, it's someone else. Because even in a business model, you know, it's kind of like your business is on the verge of going bankrupt, and you take a risk on someone who hasn't had the experience in your business to save it financially, never mind in a sporting environment. You never take the risk on someone bringing them in who hasn't got the experience. You bring in a potentially.
You can't get the experience without getting a job in the league.
Exactly, but I think Leeds United need to go. You know, this was the big thing, and you can even go back to how we operated and shot ourselves in the foot, was that summer in between our second season and our first season back in the Premier League, we acted like we were still in the Championship with how we wanted to operate, which totally held Bielsa back. You know, that was the reason we had such a terrible season and lost Bielsa, is because of that summer transfer window. And I think what we need to do, I see that David Lofthouse Poch won now. It's not about winning. It's about putting something in we're going to build from. Poch doesn't concede. You know, he would put stuff in place that, you know, as much as you would sit there and argue he could send us down, it ruins his own career. I don't care about that as a Leeds fan. I'd rather have someone coming in who had a little bit more credibility and experience that would get us out of that.
Credibility. Slot has got Feyenoord top of the Eredivisie above Ajax and PSV Eindhoven.
Do you know what I'm impressed with that comment? Is how you can say that so beautifully. I wouldn't have a clue I'd say that, Lee. It's beautiful. That's the most impressive thing about that comment.
She sells seashells at the seashore, isn't it?
It's totally
but the thing, you got to look at. Listen, I'm not saying Slot's a better manager than Pochettino and Tuchel, but I just don't think.
Well, he's not. He's not.
Well, we don't know that yet.
No, but he's not by record. No, but he's not by record. That's the point.
No, I agree with that. But, you know, were Leeds realistically going to get Pochettino or Tuchel? I'm not. You know, you can say it's my attitude, but I think Bielsa was a total one-off. I do think you got to anticipate that. The fact Bielsa was a total one-off, personality-wise. I can't get disappointed about Slot for the reason that we didn't get Tuchel and Pochettino. That's just my point.
The point being the most beautiful moment in Leeds United's history since Howard Wilkinson. Oh no, actually, I'll give it to David O'Leary in his Champions League Cup run. But you know, the most beautiful moment was when your man Radrazani turns to Victor Orta and goes, "Who would you really love to be manager of Leeds United?" And he went, "Marcelo Bielsa." And we're not having those conversations anymore. And I think that's what we're lacking. That's how we look. Well, look, I think you're going to see how this has turned around. Look at how we got Jesse Marsh. You know, that was a real failing. And, you know, were we ever going to succeed with Jesse Marsh? What a great guy. I think psychologically the man's got a lot to offer.
I'd say Slot's CV is a lot more impressive than Jesse Marsh's. I think the fact that he's got
I think right.
who lost their best player in the summer to us,
better
top
league.
of the table.
Yeah, better league. Totally better league than where Jesse had his successors. You know, where Jesse had his successors, I think even me and Chris could go in there and have a good go and end up mid-table with a team. You know, he basically just had the money and the players to win that league. So therefore his philosophies look good, but he soon gets sussed out as he did. And yes, the Netherlands is probably a better place to, you know, get that collateral. But my point is we need a bit more than that. And I think Everton have done it. I think Everton have got someone with a hell of a lot more collateral.
What's Dyche done in his career that's more impressive than Slot?
He got Burnley into Europe. He got relegated from the Premier League, but brought them straight back. He never got them relegated.
Dyche is a very good manager. He's a very good manager, by the way.
He's awesome.
But I'd say getting Feyenoord, you know, third, fourth team in the Eredivisie to the top of the table, Conference League final. You know, I think.
You think that's better than getting Burnley in Europe?
But you got to look at the here and now as well. Burnley in Europe was 6 years ago.
Oh, come on.
Jose Mourinho was considered one of the best managers in the world 6 years ago. Do you think he's going to go and get any job he wants now anymore? Things change, man. Things change.
Well, yeah, that is right. That's fair enough. But I think the life of where Dyche is compared to Mourinho is completely a different timeline.
But would Sean Dyche have suited the way we want to play? I don't think he would have done necessarily. I'm not saying Sean Dyche would have done a better job than Jesse Marsh. I'm not questioning that at all. But I don't know why we're talking about Sean Dyche when he took the Everton job.
Well, look, we're using him as a comparison of the level of what my argument is. I'm not saying we can't have Sean Dyche, even if we did all want him and thought he was great. But you've got to look at the recruitment. My question was, and I gather by your response, Oscar, it is no. Actually, I'm happy to go for an unknown proven than someone who has got more collateral. I feel a little bit, I will support this guy Slot when he comes in. Don't get me wrong; he will get everything from us. Not just me, everyone. But the point being is, do we feel shortchanged? Is this the answer? Do we feel confident? The answer. Were there more people out there that would go, yes, Fantasyland's Pochettino, but our biggest success in recent history is when our leaders of our club booked the normal trend and drilled down ambition.
Just another thing as well is that Bielsa's last job was at Lille. It wasn't like his last job had been at PSG. Pochettino's just come from the PSG job. Tuchel's just come from the Chelsea job. We have to be honest with ourselves now. It had been an enormous drop-off for them. It had been an enormous drop-off in their careers.
As in, like, are you going to be on the front of FIFA 2024? I agree. But for someone who wants to coach and be in the best league in the world with, again, I think we sometimes are guilty of putting our club short of what it can do. And maybe it's because I'm older. Maybe because I'm older. Maybe because I've seen as one of them.
He's done a very similar job at Sassuolo.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
He's done a very similar job at Sassuolo to what Slot's on the look of things.
Your Brighton man came in. He did what we were hoping Jesse would do to the ethics of Bielsa, although unfortunately Bielsa was not on the ascendancy. It was the other way around. Brighton was on the ascendancy. And he just
why if it can work at Brighton, why can't it work at Leeds?
Well, we weren't on the ascendancy then. That's why Brighton worked. Remember, Brighton were doing well. Brighton were going, and if they brought in a guy who just picked up, it's almost like a relay race. They picked very well. They've got a track record of making great footballing decisions, and they got a guy in who continued that. Touch wood for them so far. We haven't been on the ascendancy.
We've got a bigger budget than Brighton.
Yeah, we have, but we haven't been on the ascendancy as a team from a footballing decision. But we've changed our manager because it's not working. They changed their manager because it was working and he got poached by a bigger club. That's the difference.
So you're telling me De Zerbi wouldn't have gone... Say if Leeds went for Roberto De Zerbi instead of Marsh, you're telling me he wouldn't have improved Leeds because Leeds
I'd feel the same. I would feel the same as him as I do Slot now.
I think if you're a good manager, you're a good manager. I mean, Chris, listen, I do think James has been harsh there on Slot. I'm not saying I'm a massive Slot fan because I don't know enough about him to be one, but I'm looking at Slot on the surface of things, and I quite like what I'm looking at.
I guess none of us really know much about him, so I think we're all going to give him a chance. I think we can all see the positives from it. I kind of agree that we could and should aim slightly higher, but I think the stage in the season has kind of worked against us. He's had to do it quick. I think there's going to be a lot of jobs sort of going in the summer, so maybe some of the more high profile managers would wait to get one of those jobs. And like I said earlier, I guess some of them probably wouldn't take the risk of damaging their reputation. But I wasn't too sort of hopeful about Corberan. I didn't feel he would be a great appointment. I know it's off the table anyway now, but I think he doesn't have the experience either. So it is hard to get someone with Premier League experience. And I also wouldn't want Dyche who had Premier League experience. I want something a bit different. But I guess whatever we do is going to be a gamble unless we can attract one of these big managers, which at this stage of the season, I don't think we probably realistically can, just because we're so close to the relegation zone. Transfer window's gone. You're stuck with the players, like it or not. And yeah, maybe realistically, this is the best we can get. Which hopefully it turns out for the best.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, I just look at our run of games. You said it yourself, James. Our last 4 games of the season are absolutely horrendous.
Yeah,
you got to look at it and say, okay, we've got a big battle to stay in this league this season. I think we've got a tougher battle this season than what we did last season. Last season, we saw Norwich were awful, Watford were awful. They were going down clearly before we even sacked Bielsa. They were obviously going down at that point. Burnley only came good towards the back end of the season. Well, only started to get a couple of wins towards the back end of the season. Everton, I think Everton under Dyche are a far bigger threat than what they are under what they were under Lampard. So I think the quality is a lot better. I think the fact that the teams around us have done good business, other than Everton, maybe. You're going to have to this season. We're going to lose a Leeds, an Everton, a Leicester potentially, at least one of those clubs, a Wolves maybe, potentially a Forest. We're going to lose
Palace.
one.
I think Palace.
Potentially a Palace. So we might lose one of those 6 teams this season. That is far stronger than what we had last season in terms of the relegation battle. I think it looks a lot stronger on paper in terms of the quality of the teams. But that's a big consideration. This is a big challenge. I don't think people realise how big a challenge this is, staying in the league at this moment in time.
Insane.
I want more than that. Listen, I want far more than that going forward. But we are in such a mess right now. We've won 2 games in half a season. This isn't Leeds 17th. We've got talent. We've got the talent to stay up. I'm not doubting that at all. But one of these teams who's got loads of talent is going to have to go down. It's as simple as that. The maths tells you, a team with your Sahars, your Elises, or your Harvey Barnes and James Madisons, your Nonto Sinisteras, your Calvert-Lewin, your Wobys, etc., etc. One of those teams basically is going to go down this season. It's a massive challenge to stay up this season for Leeds. And that's without Bournemouth or Southampton potentially improving. I don't think they will, but we've got a big challenge just to stay up. That is why I don't think these higher caliber managers, which don't get me wrong, if Leeds had got Tuchel, I'd have been absolutely buzzing. But for that reason, because I just never believed that we'd be able to get a manager of that quality. Not even a Tuchel. If you go slightly up, say, I don't know, a Graham Potter or something. I don't know. It's one of those things. It was never felt realistic to me because of the situation we're in is very bad. Okay, if we stay up, I think our situation looks much better, no matter who's in charge, because all of a sudden you've got a whole season then from scratch, from a blank piece of paper. Please stay up going into 2023, 2024, where we can kick on then. But right now we're in a situation where we've just got to get results. We have to get results, and is Slot the man to do that? I'm not going to say if he is or isn't. I don't know enough about him yet. I need to do research tonight on it, but that's all I kind of say there, James. It's not. I'm not criticising that. I love the ambition. I love the ambition of Leeds getting a posh. I think Leeds United cannot rest until they are one of the top 8 or 9 teams in the league. That's what we're being built on. This is Leeds United. Don Revie, Howard Wilkinson, David O'Leary. That is what Leeds United is about. This isn't Leeds United right now. Leeds United can't be happy to be 17th in the Premier League. Yeah, we've had 16 years in the Championship, but we can't be happy to be 17th in the Premier League. I totally agree with that. We have to get to a point where, at some point, we can attract a manager of that calibre. But we're not there now, is my view on it. We're not there now. And the way we can get there is little steps, slow steps. And hopefully, Slot is the man to do that.
No, I think that's a fair point, man. And, there's no one more on this forum, and we'll be in Ellen Road if we could ever get tickets, Chris. We were very close. We were almost there, maybe. We lost out. But no, there's no one more to support that. And, apologies to everyone who thinks I was ranting and the Iron Brew Red Bull kicked in. I'm sure there is no vodka or anything in it. But I suppose, really, guys, what my point being is, I back everything you said then, Oscar. I think it's absolutely right. And that's why I think we can feel a bit shortchanged by bringing in someone who just doesn't give us information, if you want to call it, doesn't give us the confidence immediately that this is the solution to what is a horrific problem we find ourselves in now. It's worse than last year. I totally agree.
We've sleepwalked into it, haven't we? Really? We have sleepwalked into it.
That last month is, if we aren't 12 points clear by that last month, it's going to be horrific.
How many points clear?
12, I think. I think we need to be 12, right? I think, have I got the maths right? Have I got the maths right? Yeah. It's 4 games.
I think we need to
4 games.
Pushing towards the late 30s, points-wise, going into May. I think.
It's 5 or 6 wins, isn't it? We need to find 5 or 6 wins from somewhere, which I think is achievable. But it needs to start. It's probably not going to start this week. Let's be honest. It might be nice, but it's got to start the following week with at least one, maybe even 2 wins.
That last 4 games is Man City in May. That's the first game of May, away, and then the next one is Newcastle at home, and then it's West Ham away, and Spurs at home. And you look what those teams will be fighting for, and their squads. That is a pretty horrific May that we're facing, and if we're not 12 points clear going into that, which is an insane amount to be clear by when you look at where we are now, that's going to be a horrific month, right?
But the teams below us aren't going to win every game.
No, there is that, but still.
But I do agree. We need to have a cushion.
Still, what are their fixtures are a lot cleaner. A lot cleaner.
But it's hard to look at it like that because last season, we were looking at the fixtures, and then Burnley started beating teams well above them in the table. Out of absolutely nothing. They got beat by Norwich and Watford, I think. They certainly got beat by Norwich, and then all of a sudden they started beating Wolves and teams that were in comfortable mid-table. So, it's very difficult to predict. Who would have thought Leeds would have gone to Brentford on the last day of the season and won when they couldn't get the job done in the 6 or 7 weeks before that? It's hard to say, but. I think we'll wrap it up there, guys. We're up to an hour on the stream. I need to do a bit more slot research before I do the.
We all do.
You're going to be so excited. You're going to be texting me later on, James, saying, "Yeah, you were right, Oscar. We need to be buzzing about this."
Oh, I'm with you. I'm buzzing. I'm excited about it. The question was before we wrapped up: Do we feel like we've been shortchanged? And I think there's an argument to say. Yeah, maybe we do as fans feel a bit shortchanged, but we will be there tomorrow night. We'll be there supporting the last Jesse March game. He won't be there, but we'll all be giving it some tomorrow. And then Sunday will be amazing at Ellen Road. It'll be unbelievable. It's my birthday. It's my birthday as well, so.
Well, it could be your birthday. It could be Slot's first win. Exactly. It's just a perfect, almost fairy tale
storm.
It's a tough act beating Man United at home. Even getting a point against Man United at home is a tough act. But let's see. But Chris, any other last thoughts before we sign off?
I just hope we put in a good performance. I guess the result, we're all kind of expecting the worst, but just want to see something positive to come out of the game.
Yeah, exactly. And I can confirm I am not going to watch Wake Naked Attraction. I'm not going to go and watch that. I didn't even realize it was that time. I promise you guys, I'm not going to watch the joys of Naked Attraction. Anyway, right, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Big thanks to James. Big thanks to Chris. We'll be back tomorrow with some post-match reaction. Other content as well, hopefully reacting to the news that Slot has been confirmed as Leeds United manager. We shall see. But yeah, we will leave it there anyway, guys. Big thanks for watching. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button as well. And we will leave it there, guys. Big thanks for watching. Cheers, guys.